Greetings. My name is Joshua Free. I'm the director of the Mardukite research organization, Mardukite Chamberlains, and also the author of many books now released through the Joshua Free Publishing imprint. So what we were talking about in this series is a continuation of investigating in the Mardukite core. Mardukite core being the research library developed by myself and the Mardukite Chamberlains almost 10 years ago. It's now being released as the 10th anniversary collector's editions and commemorative editions. In our previous series, we discussed the core source book, the Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Bible. This is the 10th anniversary collector's edition hardcover. It's also available as the Complete Anunnaki Bible, a source book of Esoteric Archaeology in paperback. There's also an abridged paperback version of the Necronomicon Anunnaki Bible as well. Recently released is the Year 3 materials, which has come out. It's May 30th is the release date for hardcover, is Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Grimoire, a manual of practical Babylonian magic. It deals with materials that have previously been released as either Complete Book of Marduk by Nabu, in addition to the McClue Ritual book, and this grimoire includes also some additional information that was previously released as Liber E, Magan Magic or Necronomicon Spellbook, and also as an appendix, Anakian Magic and Kabbalah discourse that I released in, I believe, 2011. So what our currently we are dealing with materials that our second year of work, the Sumerian Legacy, Guide to Esoteric Archaeology, also available in the hardcover anthology Gates of the Necronomicon, the Secret Anunnaki Tradition of Babylon. So in our previous series, for our 10th anniversary reboot on the Mardukite TV channel on YouTube, we're basically revealing Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Bible, or the Complete Anunnaki Bible, is a core source book of our work. This research material is essentially the oldest written records on the planet, the oldest literary collection, which served as a basis for a lot of work that came after. But this is the raw material. The core raw material is translated and transliterated from the ancient clay cuneiform tablets in Mesopotamia. Most of my actual work, my writings, entered the situation in the second year of the Mardukites, and was originally released as Gates of the Necronomicon, Sumerian Religion, series of titles. Most recently, it's been revised and rewritten actually for 10th anniversary as the Sumerian Legacy, and material that's also found in the hardcover anthology Gates of the Necronomicon, Secret Anunnaki Tradition of Babylon. So what we will be dealing with primarily in this series, which has technically season 11, or year 11 of our work publicly here on YouTube, we're uncovering the Sumerian Legacy, the long-lost secrets of ancient Mesopotamian religion, the Anunnaki mythology, the mysteries of Babylonian magic. You know, all of this is an integral part of the work of the Mardukite Research Organization. And this is a very obscure esoteric work that up until recently, we've had mostly just intellectual and archaeological ways of looking at it, purely from an academic perspective, purely looking at it as you would in college or whatnot, but with little regard really for how it might apply on a practical or real life level. And so one of the things like in Sumerian Legacy, Gates of the Necronomicon as a follow-up to the raw source book, it allows people to access this concept of esoteric archaeology, the forbidden knowledge, forbidden archaeology, evil archaeology, the stuff that deals with the Anunnaki, Mesopotamia, Babylon, Sumerians, Assyrians, Akkadians, the Chaldeans, the magic, the mythology, the religion, the politics, the history, All of this is what we deal with in our follow-up materials, as opposed to the core material, which is again the core source book is again raw literary like tablets and whatnot, the actual information as it literally appears, literally translated, which allows people to explore it independent of, for example, my opinions or the other research that goes with it, as, for example, an actual Bible would be, the Bible in like Judeo-Christian tradition, which then later has other interpretive texts and materials that could supplement it. So in the tradition of truth-seeking, like the self-honest Mardukite approach to reconstructing the Babylonian vision, we could begin, for instance, by revealing like an incredible misnomer that the field of study has endured for far too long. Essentially, the applicable term Assyriology is a complete and utter lie. It's a total misnomer. It's not even semantically correct for like the current pursuits, the analysis of like the physical evidence that resulted, Babylonian, Akkadian, whatnot, the late 19th, 20th century archaeology. So the name really questionably applies to this field at all. And although some really scholars actually acknowledge this grave misrepresentation of this science, it's primarily gone unchallenged in contemporary academics. I remember, so in George G. Cameron's foreword to Edward Sciarra's They Wrote on Clay in 1938, he wrote that there's few there are indeed who know that the name of our science, Assyriology, is based on accident. The fact that the first large group of texts are discovered, that were discovered wherever written in Assyrian. Assyrian itself is but one dialect. So the misapplication arises with the use of the term to denote the study of basically all of the cuneiform using cultures. And so the Mardukite tradition, the Mardukite research organization, the materials that we've done in esoteric archaeology, we don't actually propagate this blatant disregard for both the political and spiritual history of Mesopotamia to just attribute everything to the Assyrians, simply because that's where the field began from. I mean, although cuneiform literate and they shared the Anunnaki, the Assyrians were not actually the origin of any of this. They kind of came a little bit later. They were northwestern foreigners to Babylon, so the two aren't the same. So as we've talked about in other videos throughout the Mardukite core, even the true esoteric analysis, mystical application for this whole field is really absent from the earliest academic and archaeological pursuits. I mean, these efforts mainly emphasized something that we value today. It's the recovery, the raw recovery and accumulation of translatable materials, and most of which have not even been coherently transliterated into the English language, even a century after the discovery. So most materials readily available to seekers during like the pre-Mardukite era of research and discovery and development are severely fragmented, sometimes contradictory, and again with very little real-world application or mystical applications that we would see in modern New Age revivals and so forth. So again, we were talking about the Sumerian Legacy, Esoteric Archaeology, or Gates of the Necronomicon anthology. And these materials can also be obtained in paperback, again, Anunnaki Bible and Sumerian Legacy, or Necronomicon Anunnaki Bible and Gates of Necronomicon hardcover 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition. To put this into perspective, because a lot of people are unfamiliar with the territory and the geography that we're dealing with, especially today with the politics, what's in the news, and things that involve Arabic or Islamic things, that these natures of things that have absolutely nothing to do with ancient Mesopotamia. But we are dealing with the same geographical location, but we're dealing with stuff that's thousands of years prior to anything taking place today. Before Babylon, when history had not even yet been even written, the land now known to modern man as the Middle East was occupied by beings that we deal with in our materials that are very central and paramount to this paradigm, and that is the Anunnaki. And these are basically almost like superhuman figures that molded and shaped human consciousness and then systematized civilization in ways, all of these things that we take for granted today, is especially in the Western world, as just the human condition. But these things have an origin. And it is within the uncovering of these origins, uncovering these facets of the mystery, that we actually uncover things that most people couldn't even dream of or didn't even think were, related to. But it is a personal pursuit and a personal exploration into the mysteries, because of the years and lifetime spent in all the misinformation, miseducation. It's a personal pursuit to uncover the mysteries of the tradition, the truth, and what has become before. So what we are dealing with is ancient Mesopotamia and ancient Babylon. Mesopotamia being called such by the Greeks, meaning a land between two rivers, which is probably more literal than poetic. We're dealing, though, with the land of Babylonia. And Babylon being, of course, named as the land of the gates of the gods, or the city of stargates. And so it is this gate tradition, this gate methodology, also the way that the sevenfold system interacts with other aspects of our existence, and the notes of music and color and just the physical creation as we experience it. Everything is interrelated, and it's a very wide encompassing study that I've actually dedicated personally over a decade to the pursuit of and also the relay of this information. Many others have come into the fray as well, but it's an important pursuit that even the information that is relayed in other more mainstream books and materials and on the television is only relaying very fragmented data, which you can take and pick what you can choose to and go about your day, go on with your life. But what we are actually trying to do is create a paradigm shift, a change, a rise in human mass consciousness by incorporating this most ancient paradigm into our surface knowledge, into the way that we undertake life and carry ourselves into everyday life. So in that respect, it becomes no longer a dry academic pursuit of a few random historians that might understand these esoteric facts and legacy, the history. This is important to all of humanity, in uncovering the past, in carrying ourselves in the present, and actually executing plans and working together in self-honesty to create the future that we all very much need and deserve.